Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, 7:30. Roll call, please.
Mr. Simons?
Here.
Mr. Boda?
Here.
Mr. Patsalos?
Here.
Mr. Horn?
Here.
Mr. Knotts?
Here.
Mr. Blackstock here. Ms. Graham is excused.
Okay, thank you. Ralph, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to approve the agenda. I have no additions or deletions. Does anybody else have anything? If not, a motion to approve the agenda would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported that we approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the minutes of November 2, 2015, public hearing and regular meeting.
There are no additions, corrections, or deletions to the public hearing minutes and to the regular meeting minutes of November 2nd. I'll have a motion to approve.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we approve the minutes of November 2, 2015. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Is there a separate sheet for the minutes, or is it the planning public hearings for proposed budgets? Just the minutes?
It's in there, but you gotta dig. It's on the back of the first page. The very first page.
Okay.
Got it?
Thank you.
Yeah, Metro will find it too.
All right, next we have the public comment. Is there anybody that would like to speak about anything that's not on the agenda? We have Mr. Representative Dan Lowers here, would like to say a few things. Yeah, go to the mic, please.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I just wanted to stop in and make myself available, I guess. We've been getting a lot of questions in our office since the transportation package was passed. That seems to be high on everybody's list, so I can give you a brief overview, or I can answer specific questions, or we can get into any other issues that might be facing you that the state would be able to be of some service to you. But the long and short of the transportation package is it's 1.2 billion. It takes us 5 years to get up to that full amount. Half of the 1.2 billion comes from the same place that the 1.27 billion we've appropriated in the last 4 fiscal years have come from, and that's general fund. So half of the 600 million comes from general fund. This year that we're in, there's $400 million. Last year, there was, I think, $560 million from general fund. In addition to the about $2 billion that the state of Michigan is normally appropriating and directing towards transportation, runs between $2 and $3 billion a year, depending on federal matches. The first $200 million of which comes off the top as payments for previous bonded expansions that were made or repairs that were made in both the Engler and the Granholm administration. We're still paying that off. That 1.27 billion we've appropriated to date is the only money that's ever been appropriated from general funds in Michigan roads, and that's all happened within the last 4 years in fiscally. So, so when people say, where are you going to get this 600 million from existing revenue? Well, that's been the fight that's gone on now the whole time I've been in Lansing. Many of us felt that the more we can keep the state of Michigan economy recovering, the more money will be available, the more that'll attract economic growth. So that half of the funds come from existing general revenue as they are today. The 400 is coming from today. Half comes from new taxes. Some of us call it fees and all that, but in the end, it's a tax. Half of that new tax is gas. Half of that new tax or fuel, and half of that is registration fees. So long and short would be a 20%. You'll see a 20% increase in your registration fees across the board, and you're going to see about 7 cents. There's round numbers of additional in gas tax in about 2 years. So we'll continue ramping up the money from general fund, and then as the taxes increase, that money will come in additionally. One of the most frequent questions I get is why aren't we pulling that money forward? Some people talk about, hey, should we should we bond again? I'm kind of glad to hear the governor say he's not a fan of bonding. You know, when I look at the money that we're still paying for two previous administrations because of bonding, again, it's living beyond your means. Yes, we know we got more money coming, but I'd rather pay off the old before we start borrowing new is my nature, I guess. So, and the reason it's going incrementally is because if you talk to pretty much any employer in the construction trades today, they'll tell you that if you can show up tomorrow and pass a drug test, you're hired. But they cannot hire people. In fact, we were at a tour, I've been all over the state this year, and just recently we're up in Northwest Michigan at a fruit cannery, and I asked them, I said, are you guys seeing the same challenges in employment that we're hearing throughout the state? You know, about showing up tomorrow and passing the drug test. And the guy said, oh yeah, same situation here. In fact, we quit drug testing last December. And I said, really? He said, yeah, we had to lose half of my staff if I eliminated people for drug testing. So, and they had 12 no-shows that morning. He said that was normal. So, that's the kind of the situation of employment we're in, and and if you talk to pretty much anyone in the construction trades, they'll probably share a similar story with you. So rather than pushing money into that industry faster than there's people available to do the work, basically these crews are pretty well maxed out at this point. This is going to give them about 5 years to grow, grow their staffs and grow their ability without, driving inflation by asking them to do more than they're ready to do. So I don't know if you saw the amount of construction that's been going on just in the last several years with us putting additional money in, but in the end, this will equate to nearly a 50%, in some numbers, over 50% increase in the amount of money we're spending on infrastructure today. So it will be significant. The other important thing about it is, especially for you as a township, is that half of this money goes through Public Act 51. Public Act 51 is where all money, existing money, other than the new money we've been appropriating in the last few years, goes into transportation infrastructure and goes to everything: airports, mass transit, anything that deals with transportation infrastructure. Half of the new money will go in there. Half of the money will not go through Public Act 51. Half of the money will go directly to local, county, and state road commissions. So it'll be a bigger impact than a dollar today that goes into Public Act 51. You don't see that whole dollar at your level, or your third of that dollar, if you will. Half of this money, that was another part of the whole negotiation. Many of us felt that we wanted all the new money to go to the local, county, and state, because that's where the real need. Our I roads are generally in pretty good shape. It's the local roads that are in the worst shape, and so we want to make sure that we had the greatest impact with the dollars there. So half of this money does not go into Public Act 51. It makes people that depend on that money very upset. They got an increase, same as everyone else. So in the end, this compromise was half of everything. So any questions you have on it, I'm more than willing to.
Are they gonna pass that House bill where the municipalities, like say the townships, will have to get competitive bidding on this road work?
It was included.
That's included?
It's included in the package, yep. Yeah. Being on a transportation committee for the last 3 years, pretty know this bill pretty well inside and out. And if you pay half or more of the project, it's up to you if you want an RFP.
If we want, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
'Cause I
entirely
mean,
up to
what
you.
makes us road builders, and to know when.
Right, well, there are instances where some municipalities want that control. They felt that they didn't have enough lever maybe on their county road commission to exercise the kind of job they wanted. So this gives them that. If you've got a good relationship there and you feel you're getting the best value, then certainly you don't have to. Just gives you the ability.
And what about the 600 million that you're taking out of the general fund? Was there services that were cut in the state? Or
No, as I said, we've appropriated 1.27 billion in the past years past several years, that's all out of general fund. The 400 million that's in the year that we're in currently is out of general fund. We've got the largest school budget we've ever had. We put the additional dollars into transportation. We increased the appropriations to safety as well, public safety. So it really goes back to, turning Michigan around, paying down debt, living within your means has actually caused economic growth. And so, we've forecasted that we should be able to do this without cutting from other areas, but we've also made the statement that, there's, I'm included in that school that didn't want to see any new taxes for this, pull it all out of existing reserves, or live within your means and grow more slowly. By saying 600 million will come from general fund, we've kind of put our belt on in a way that says, hey, if it comes to it, you got to tighten your belt. We're making a commitment to infrastructure. When we go back to the state's responsibilities to the people, it really resides in education, infrastructure, and public safety. And those are the areas that we've increased spending in. Other areas we've held the line and cut in. So, but that's been an ongoing process now for longer than I've served in Lansing. So,
Anybody else have a question?
sure.
I actually got a few questions. First of all, the money that being all put together, I know you gave some examples of where it's gonna be spent, how it's gonna be spent. But I can't help but think that Wayne and Oakland, Macomb counties are gonna get the biggest share of any money that's available.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in that?
That's
Wayne County, I can just picture getting
Yeah.
80% of it.
That's why there's always the argument over Public Act 51. Public Act 51 appropriates money based on miles and not necessarily roads. So Wayne, Oakland, Macomb would love to see Public Act 51 opened so that they could get more based on how much traffic they have. The UP would lose greatly if that happened. So that money is protected, I guess, if you will, that we don't see that situation where just because they're a bigger county, they get more money. The state, that's why the state puts money through Public Act 51, and that was, I don't remember the year, it's been around a long time. And that puts it out by roads and not by population. So, so the answer to your question is it'll be done the same way it is today, which Wayne, Oakland, Macomb were very upset about. They wanted to see it based on their traffic volumes, not based on roads, road miles, lane miles,
Okay, and one thing I was wondering about, I know it's been brought up in, excuse me, in the past couple of years anyways, where companies that end up doing, or they're involved in laying down new roads and everything else, that they should have some kind of a guarantee on that road that 2 years from now, it's not falling all apart
Yeah.
again.
Yep, that was my part of the package, the warranties. I worked really for long and hard on that issue. And what I found in getting into the whole road warranty issue is that when I would meet with the road builders would say, listen, I build these roads to the specs the engineer gives me. That's what it was. And then I'd meet with the engineers, and I'd say, okay, engineers, what's the problem with our roads not holding up? They said, listen, we spec them to what we're told to spec them to, and they're both doing this, okay? And so to address that directly, I put provisions in this package that says that we've got to communicate. We've got to get to the bottom of this and try to get kind of all liars on the same page, if you will, or find out what it is we're missing. So there's an annual report required on all roads. This goes down to local level. You will have it placed before you. You're going to have to decide how you want to implement your warranty policy. You'll have to submit warranty policy procedures to DOT, and if you don't, DOT will do it for you. So I would suggest that you work with your township associations and others and decide how to best handle that. But the requirements are the same for local, county, and state, and that is you have to display or put in an annual report that's available. What is the intended lifespan of the project that you're doing? Okay, that seems to be the big key on a lot of this. So what's the intended lifespan? If there's a failure, what was the cause of the failure, and what's it gonna cost to fix? Doesn't lay blame. It identifies, what was lifespan, what failed, and what's gonna cost, so that we can have a honest discussion about, who's gonna pay for this based on what happened. So, within that parameter, you'll develop your own policies about how you wanna, and it brought the limit on that down for, requiring warranties, to $1 million. So any project over $1 million is required to have a warranty. There is some give there. It's not an absolute, but all projects, whether they're $1 million or not, are required to state, intended lifespan and track the success of obtaining that intended lifespan.
Did you guys ever talk to Ontario? 'Cause they do that all the time. They got you see signs along the road, the contractor will say, this is my road and I'm responsible for it until such and such time. They must
Yeah.
have some kind of system to do that.
We talked about posting. We thought it'd be a great idea to even post, what intended lifespans were of projects as you went. But it's amazing what signs cost. And so, if you've ever done much signage, I mean, it seems
I wasn't so much on the
impossible.
signs, I was wondering how they go about, the contractor being responsible for his highway. And you can see it as you drive down 402, there's
Right.
section after
Identifies,
section.
yeah.
And they're responsible for that section for a period of years.
Yeah, I've not asked them how they go about that, but, we have,
That'd be a good idea.
yeah,
It
Michigan.
seems to work.
Well, I'll tell you, next time you're driving on 402, I would encourage you to also compare the drainage in Ontario compared to Michigan. I get asked all the time about heavy trucks, how come we didn't lower the
That was
levy?
gonna be my next question.
All right,
Why
well,
didn't you
okay,
include
so
heavy
Ontario
trucks
runs
in this
within-
rollover?
Ontario
thing?
runs within 2 tons of what we run. And that's mainly because of bridges, not because of the roads, but that's why they run, so they run the heavy trucks too. And they have probably as much frost, if not more, than we do, okay? But their roads are better, and I would point you towards drainage. I think drainage has everything to do with it, and the next time you're in an area where you wonder why the roads are the way they are, check the drainage. You gotta get water away from it. All the major improvements in I-69, I went out and checked on that project as they were constructing it. Almost everything had to do with drainage. So every seam in every lane is underneath so there's the concrete, there's the stone, and then there's an actual tile on every seam, runs the length of every seam. Everywhere there's a seam, there's tile connected. There's a barrier layer, actual fabric, that separates the base, sand or clay, whatever it is, from the stone. So really, they've almost created, like you would around your basement, a drainage system to make sure that the water gets away, and that is the key to making roads last.
The thing you can't get away from though is, Michigan's got 80 ton, everybody else has got 40. Why do we think our roads are be able to handle it so much better than everybody else?
Well, you brought up Ontario. Ontario runs 155 and we run 160. So,
I do believe the federal limit's 40.
40 ton.
Yeah.
But Michigan, you can have and we're not the only state that has a higher weight limit, but Ontario, I guess if we're comparing roads, they run it too. The axle weight on heavy, because I looked hard into this one, I've read the studies going back into the 50s and 60s on this, and all the engineers agree that it has to do more with pounds per square inch in axle and axle spacing. And if we wanted to achieve better conditions for the heavier trucks, we would standardize our spreads, and then we would standardize our road construction to match that spread, because the spread of the axle creates a wave in front of the truck.
Yeah, it's the wave, it breaks up the concrete.
Yep, and you can build your roads to match the wave. So Ontario is more strict on their spreads than Michigan is. Michigan's has a much more leeway in how they run their spreads. If you have ever been to states where you see the long trailer hitch before the pup,
Sure.
that's because they have spread laws so they can match those waves in their
It just
construction
seems
to the
that you've
trucks.
Lansing has made a lot of effort to get enough money to bring our roads up into good condition. It's just a shame that they didn't do something about the trucks, so they'll get tear them right back up again.
Well, again, it would be the feeling from the engineers on all sides of this, and I'll gladly share the reports with you. They're lengthy and they're very thorough. You know, a truck that's over 80,000 pounds in Michigan is required to keep their axle weights below 11,000. A truck that's under 40 can have 13,000. So you've got a heavier hammer on the lighter trucks than you do on the heavier trucks. So it's, you know, that's where the engineers say it's not as long as you're adhering to the laws. You know, if you're overloaded, you're overloaded. It doesn't matter whether you got an 80,000 pound truck or a 160,000 pound truck. You know, you're breaking the law. But the heavier trucks, anything over 80,000 has a limit of a ton per axle under what the lighter trucks do.
It just, you know, you can drive between here and Toledo down 75, just switch lanes. You can tell which lane the trucks run in.
Mhm.
You know,
But the majority of the trucks that are running, those are 80,000 pound trucks. 11%, between 8 and 11% of trucks are over 80,000 in the state of Michigan. So it's a very small number of the percentage, you know, of total. That area between Michigan and Ohio too is nothing but swamp ground. Not saying that the one lane isn't better than the other, but, you know, that's a kind of a special area that, you know, probably needs more drainage.
Going back to the competitive bids, would we
Yes.
have to use prevailing wages then?
No, there's no
those?
requirement on it. On a public project, for school building, you know, the state has prevailing wage law yet today. But I don't believe there's been any
Nothing
talk
for
about
the
prevailing wage on your roads.
Okay.
Anything else?
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
One last thing, just before I leave, if you don't have my cell phone number, I want to give it to you, and that's, of course, available to anyone in the audience as well. I'm trying to make sure everyone has it. You know, I'm on the road between 6:30 and 8:30 a.m. and p.m. on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, going back and forth to Lansing, and calls are most welcome during those times because it makes the drive happen a lot faster. So my cell number is 810-343-4203. Don't hesitate to use it. If there's a question on your mind, or you're wondering why in the world is he doing what he's doing, or they're not doing something, I'd much rather hear it from you right away and know what's on your mind, even if it's nothing more than tuning me up. You know, I'd rather know about it than have you wonder. And besides, you know, all good ideas generate from real situations and problems, and you guys are on the front line, so you know, I welcome your observations, and call me anytime.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you mind if I
No, go ahead. Yeah.
take care.
don't hesitate to call? Thank you.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Bye.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. We have C1, October 2015 Building Department Report. We have C2, the October 2015 Marine City Fire Report. We have the C3, October 27, 2015 St. Clair River Sewer and Water Authority Minutes. We have the C4 is the November 4th, 2015 Historical Commission Minutes. C5 is the October 1, 2015 Beautification Committee Minutes. We have C6, the Investment Income Report. C7 is the October 2015 St. Clair Fire Report. And we have C8, the October 2015 Revenue and Expenditure Report. Is there any questions on any of those?
Yeah, I have one. On the revenue expenditure work, by the way, Corin's doing just an extremely good job on this. I've been going through it, and more stuff's appearing. It makes sense. Keep up the good work. But in what she has done and to compile this, you go to the second last page. Well, let's see what they call it. It's page number 28. That's the water fund, not the sewer and water authority, but the township water fund. And I just point this out because you may have to keep an eye on this with respect to your contingency fund.
What page was that again?
Very last, page 28. It's like, well, second last page. Back. It's the Township Water Fund. You see what, you everybody get there? So I can shut up. Anyway, what I wanted to point out was of $663,000 budget, we are now $179 in the hole. So, it's something we need to keep an eye on. And especially since we've just changed our billing procedures, I don't know how that's gonna affect it, but, that's pretty close.
Right.
I mean, it's not a problem as long as it doesn't get much, much worse, so.
Well, and we
Something to
also,
watch.
in our new rates, there was a built-in.
There was an increase,
Yeah.
and that's supposed to take place with the November billings, I
Correct, it
believe.
did, yeah.
So we might, so anyway, it's something to watch. That's awful close on $600,000.
Or it's awful good planning.
We'll see.
I like to look at it
That's
that way.
the only thing I have.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have any questions? If not, a motion to accept would be in order.
I'll make that motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported that we accept the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, we have disbursements. We have bills of $56,915.46. We have payroll of $24,925.19. We have ACH payments of $13,573.86. And we have a tax account of $21,267.09 for a total disbursement of $116,681.60.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount of $116,681.60.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we pay the bills. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Last page of the bills, demo of 2310 Riverside.
Uh-huh.
The amount was as we expected. Is this being placed as a lien on their taxes?
It is. I've already started that process.
Okay, thank you.
In fact, our attorney was supposed to get back with us today, but I wasn't in the office most of the day. Any other questions on the disbursements? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Boda,
Yes.
Mr. Cram, or Mr. Cram, Mr. Petsalis,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Knotts,
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock, yes, Mr. Simons.
Yes, motion carries. Moving on to new business, we have an agreement to collect new business one, agreement to collect summer RISA property taxes. This is a formality we do every year. I guess probably got to read it.
Do you want me to read it, or?
Yeah, I would just read the high point. I don't know if we have to read
I
all
don't
that.
think
It's
we do.
not a
I'll
resolution.
just make a motion that we approve the agreement to collect the summer RISA property taxes.
I'll support that.
All right, it's been moved and supported that we agree to collect the summer recess property tax. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, we have a similar agreement to collect the summer school property taxes.
I'll make a motion, we pay the.
Not pay,
Collect.
Not pay, I should
Collect.
say, I'm sorry.
collect.
Making a motion, we should collect, the summer school taxes for the East China School District. I'll support it.
All right, it's been moved and supported that we agree to collect the summer school property taxes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next under new business, item 3 is the ambulance service agreement. Mr. Boda and I were at the Marine City Fire Authority. Mr. Ken Cummings came before the authority to speak. This was one of his things he'd like to have. I guess we had these years ago, but we don't have one to date. This is at no cost to us, as all it's saying is that we're agreeing to use them as our primary service. I think they've done a great job in saving the townships, all the townships in this area a lot of money, because if we had to pay for the ambulance service, it would probably be, along with either the fire or the police department, would be that kind of money that we'd have to be paying.
I only had one question on it.
Yeah.
And that is on the scope of service A. It appears that if we go with this, while we have been using them only because they happen to be the one without agreement, this agreement says that we agree to use them on an exclusive basis. So therefore, are we doing this deliberately to to cut out any competition?
It's always been like, we never use anybody else.
There isn't anybody else. But not to say another company couldn't come in.
But if you sign this, before, we didn't have an agreement, so another company could come in. But if you sign this, aren't you agreeing?
Correct.
To
But
make
it
that
also says
exclusive?
in there, affects, we can terminate this agreement. This agreement may be terminated prior to the expiration of this term by mutual agreement, the provider and the township.
I don't have a problem with it. I just think we ought to be aware that this appears to be an exclusive agreement with this particular company.
The only thing I didn't do, and I probably should have, had our township attorney look at this. Thinking about it now after reading it. So if we do decide to accept this, I would say the motion should be that, letting the attorney look at it and saying it was all right.
Why don't we just table it until the attorney looks at it?
Not to sign it until the attorney has approved it.
I'll make a motion, we table till pending legal review.
And I'll support that. There's a motion to table this until we get a legal opinion on this. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We table it until the next meeting. Okay, next under new business, we have the resignation of Sandra Smith from the St. Clair River Sewer and Water Authority effective November 16th, 2015. I'll give you an explanation on that. I appointed her, the board appointed her to take Sharon's place on that board when Sharon retired. I guess it wasn't a permanent position. So, talking to some of the members of the Sewer and Water Authority, we're going to appoint another member at large, because East China gets to have 3, Ralph, and China 1?
That's correct. Well, 4 and 1, I believe, five members.
Okay. What we're doing now is we have our 2 sewer and water, we have our sewer plant superintendent and our water plant superintendent that attend the meetings. We're gonna have them do the minutes, help with the agenda and get that stuff. They're at the meetings anyways, and we're paying them at the meetings.
Good idea. So how they gonna?
They will not be voting members. All they'll be doing is,
No, I understand.
they're just gonna take the minutes.
How they gonna make sure they coordinate all this, and what's gonna be on the agenda, what's not gonna be on the agenda? 2 of them talking to who?
Well, they'll be talking to Corinne probably on the numbers. And they'll have to be talking to who makes up the agenda. For years, Sharon has made up the agenda for that thing. Really, it should be the chairman making up the agenda, I would think. So maybe the chair's they're gonna have to work with them.
Get it all set and straight before we say we're gonna do something. You got Bob Allen out in China Township as the chair.
Correct.
Well, I should-
Do you have another, I threw out some other options.
I don't see any reason why Sandy Smith can't make up the agenda, collect the input from the two,
Yeah, that,
collect the two input and put together put the package together. doesn't make any difference whether she attends a meeting or not, but I mean, that's just office work, collecting the stuff and putting it together. If she wants input, she can call me or call, Mr. Allen, if, to check and say if we have anything, the same way she would check with the two supervisors.
And she'll be working with Corinne, who will know the numbers and whatever's
Yeah, the only thing
coming
I
up
don't
there.
like about it is if we have any questions with respect to finances, that come up in the meeting, we're gonna have to solve them later, because we simply don't have anybody at the meeting who can answer those kinds of questions. We just have to I'll just have to take them down and bring them back,
Right.
sort them out later. If something comes up that we need it was nice when we had the person who really knew the finances also was on the board, so we never had to come back for any questions. But there is other ways to do it.
Yeah, I think I think it's something that
But-
it warrants having a try at it anyways.
But I agree with Mr. Boda. The agenda thing and the package, whatever we're gonna have, should be put together in the office. And I would
Okay,
think the
we
office
can do that.
I think the office manager ought to do it.
All right, I'll have her do the agenda.
I mean, 'cause she doesn't have to come to the meeting to put the agenda together.
Okay. So,
I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Sandra Smith from the St. Clair Sewer and Water Authority effective the 16th of November with regret.
I'll support.
it's been moved and supported that we accept the resignation of Sandra Smith from the Sewer and Water Authority, effective November 16th. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to appointing John Grabsky to the St. Clair River Sewer and Water Authority through December 31st, 2017.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
John's been a former member of the Water and Sewer Authority, so he knows what's going on.
I talked to him tonight. He and I sing in the same group, and I talked with him tonight. Yeah, he's fine with it.
Good. Welcome aboard. So, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Welcome, John. Next, we're under new business. We have item number 6. It's adding $79,671.45 to past water bills, sewer, and miscellaneous fees for the 2015 tax roll. That's actually down from last year.
We do this every year, so I'll make that motion that we add the delinquent water and sewer fees to the tax rolls.
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we add the $79,671.45 to the tax rolls, 2015 tax roll. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Blackstock, yes. Mr. Knotts?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Petsalis?
Yes.
Mr. Boda?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to announcements. We have the fall curbside chipping is Wednesday. Township offices will be closed November 26 and 27 for Thanksgiving holiday. The only other thing I want to add to the announcements is that we're having a meeting to discuss some sewer and water language. Anybody that wants to come is welcome to come to that. That'll be on, at 1 o'clock on Thursday, the 19th.
That's, 19?
Yes, at 1 o'clock. Moving on to member comments, Mr. Horn.
I went down Bryson Lane and Rico Road. They should be hit with the grader before the weather gets bad,
I've already called them in, we're just waiting for them to get there.
okay?
I called them in a week ago.
Because they're getting worse.
Yeah, I told them I wanted it in good shape before it freezes,
Mhm.
so,
That's all I have.
okay, thanks for checking that.
And no, I got condolences for Jack Randall's family. And that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Pasalis?
I just want to follow up with Don, that my condolences go out to Jack Randolph's family and Lois, and just wish them the best of luck.
Mr. Buda?
Again, like Angela, with, I wish Lois, the my best with the death of Jack. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Blackstock?
Also, my condolences to Jack. He'll be missed. And one quick thing, just on behalf of the Parks Commission, I know their season is dwindling down here and their parks are going to be closed. But just a reminder to the public, if you could make a conscious effort to adhere to the parks closing times. Seems to be an underlying issue over the months that we've had some people inadvertently locked in the park after hours. So again, just a reminder to please adhere to those rules in terms of the scheduled opening and closing times. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. That all you got, Herb?
That's it.
Mr. Knott?
Just condolences to Jack Ranoff, a good friend, and got me into this business, and gonna miss him. That's all.
Okay, and also I'd like to send out my condolences to Lois and her family. Jack was here a lot of years. He put a lot of effort into East China Township, so. With that, that's all I have. I guess a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we
To
adjourn
adjourn.
at 8:12.
I'll support that.
All right, we have a motion and support to adjourn at 8:12. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Where'd you get that from?